So within the action bar, we can add new icons, or buttons, should I say, that open up all sorts of possibilities. So first of all, I'm going to apply here an ID. So I'll call it, let's call this one here. Well, let's call it TPL status. Why not? Okay, so we have two types. We have a link type and an Ajax type. The link type will allow us to link the icon. So having an icon here, we can link that to an application. So the same way that you would use here the application links, pretty much the same way, okay? But then with the Ajax option, it opens up more possibilities, because if I go next, I can now use the add states, okay? So here I can add multiple states and of course remove them. So here, for instance, I will add the state active and here inactive. Okay, so now I've assigned for the action bar two states, active, inactive. I will apply an icon here. So if I go for an exclamation mark here, and the same here. Okay, and of course I want to apply a color to the active, which would more than likely be green. So I will apply green. And here for inactive, well, I want this to be orangey, like so. Okay, for the hover, I will apply a red for the inactive and maybe a lighter green for the active. Now here on the right, I have further options to apply colors to the active status. So when I click that item, and also a hint. So there you see, I had already added hints previously. So here I am saying this email is active, and then this email is now inactive. Okay, and then we have the option for a confirmation message. So if I add in there, are you sure? Whenever I click on that icon, it will present a window asking me if I want to continue. So are you sure? So we have now here two states that we can basically play with. Okay, so if I save that button, now here within the code and being a member, you have here our code snippets. So you can just scroll down here and there you have the SC action bar disable, show and state. And if I choose here the state, if I click on that, I then have here the various code examples that I can use. So here at the top, we have a very basic implementation of the state. So here, first of all, SC action bar clicked state. This is a Scriptcase macro, and here we basically define the status. So in our case now, that would be active, inactive, okay? And then we have here the SC action bar state. So the first term here is then the name of the button, okay? So that was TPL status, if I'm not mistaken. And then we have here the state. So sent, that would be inactive. So that would then become the new state, because we are currently active. We want it to become inactive, okay? And then here, else, we are just applying the opposite from our initial state that we assign here. So that is a very basic implementation that we have there. The second option here, that updates our database tables as well as changes the state of the button. And that is pretty much what we are going to want to use right now. The one at the bottom here is very similar to the first example. So I will just go ahead and delete that, and we can go ahead and make some adjustments here to the first script. So here I will first of all say active and update, then here the TPL status, I believe it was. So we will have to confirm that. And of course, if it's not correct, then the functionality will not update. Okay, so it will not update the new status here to inactive. And then here we want to change it to active. Okay, so our table. So we have then also our email table, and the field was then email underscore TPL, if I'm not mistaken, and set then also the TPL active. Okay, and then the active status would then be 0. Okay, because we are updating from active to inactive, and then here we want to have a 1. And then again, we can just replicate that here because it's the same fields. So the same field, email TPL and TPL active being the table where it is active or inactive. And then our order ID here is then our ID email TPL. So if I just replicate that again, and that is then also our field here, which we can then also confirm. So let me just save that. Come here to SQL, and there is then our main ID, and there is our status from the email underscore TPL. Okay, so that is looking good. And of course, if I go ahead and run that now, that should also update then the status. So let's go ahead and do that. And now we have here our status. So right now it's active. And if I click on that, are you sure? Okay. And now it changes and it is inactive. Okay, so if I just go ahead and check that here, I'm seeing here that the status is not changing. But if I actually come here into my email TPL table, we have here the TPL active as 1 right now. And now it is active. If I click on it, am I sure? Inactive. And if I refresh that here, it has changed to 0. So that is actually looking good. I'm just going to go ahead and remove the field because it's really just a dead field now anyway. And now if I run, click on active, are you sure? Inactive. And then let's check that here, inactive. Okay. And click again. It should now be active. And we can refresh. It is now active.